Imagine being the richest man in Asia and having a 27-story billion-dollar skyscraper with all the amenities you could ever dream of. Imagine owning one of the largest corporations in the world and dominating your home country's economy. What would it be like to throw a party and have Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai and the Trumps showing up? Well, this guy doesn't have to imagine what that would be like. Mukesh Ambani is the most successful Indian industrialist, known for being chairman and managing director of Reliance Industries and scion of the Ambani family. Last week I came across this article, and I decided to look into Reliance Industries and Mukesh Ambani's history in order to find out how he got where he is today. This is the story of a humble gas station clerk who started his own spice trading company that went on to become the most successful conglomerate in Indian history. It's a classic rags to riches story full of drama, intense rivalries, and most of all, unrestrained ambition. Hold on to your petas and let's dive into the story of Mukesh Ambani. The story of Reliance Industries starts in the most southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula. Mukesh Ambani was born April 19, 1957 in the bustling Yemeni town of Aden back when it was still a British Crown colony. Mukesh's father, Dhirubhai Ambani, worked as a gas clerk in the city, where he earned just enough to feed his family and provide them with shelter. You see, Dhirubhai always wanted to become an entrepreneur, but his circumstances dictated that he'd work low-level jobs. He wasn't fluent in Arabic and didn't have the connections needed to flourish in a society like the one in Yemen, where connections are everything. A year after Mukesh was born, his father decided to pack up and head back to Mumbai when business in Aden was drying up and the political climate was becoming increasingly unstable in the years leading up to Yemen's independence. The Ambanis ended up in a Mumbai neighborhood named Bhuleshwar, where they rented a 2-room apartment in a so-called shawl, a community building commonly associated with poor peasants that migrated from the countryside. They would share a kitchen and a bathroom with other families that lived in their shawl. Dhirubhai noticed that the abundance of spices in India made them relatively affordable, much more affordable than in Yemen. He decided to act on this opportunity and start a small trading firm with his cousin, exporting spices to Yemen and importing polyester yarn. They called their company Reliance Commercial Corporation. Not long after they started the business, Dhirubhai decided to end the partnership with his cousin and venture out on his own. Dhirubhai apparently didn't get along very well with his cousin. They both had bad temperaments and disagreed on how to best run the business. Life started changing very fast for the Ambanis from this point onwards. With nothing holding him back, Dhirubhai became obsessed with growing his business. By 1966, Ambani had set up a subsidiary focusing on textiles, setting up his own textile mill, producing synthetic fabrics under the brand name Vimal. The brand became highly successful, leading to an IPO in 1977 that was oversubscribed by 7 times. By this time, the Ambani family purchased its own 14-story building with a helipad. The times of making ends meet in a foreign country as a gas station clerk have long passed. Now the Ambani family was at the helm of a corporation that was about to change the Indian economy forever. While Dhirubhai was working hard on getting Reliance off the ground, his son was mostly focused on his studies, receiving a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the Institute of Chemical Technology in Mumbai, and subsequently enrolling at Stanford for an MBA. Not long after arriving at Stanford, Mukesh got a call from his dad that would change his life. He was told that he had to come back home in order to help grow the family business. Dhirubhai believed that real business knowledge could only be gained from real-world business experience, not from books. Mukesh followed his father's advice and took the first flight back to Mumbai and took on big responsibilities together with his brother Anil Ambani. Their father treated them as partners rather than employees, believing they could only flourish as businessmen and entrepreneurs if they had real responsibilities and incentives. Mukesh and Anil helped diversify Reliance into the communications, infrastructure, petrochemicals, petroleum refining, gas and oil production, and other sectors. They beat out Tata, a much larger organization back then, and other large corporations to secure a license for polyester filament yarn manufacturing, which, considering the large textile industry in India and its surrounding countries, turned out to be highly profitable. The brothers set up the world's single largest oil refining facility in Jamnagar, India, a sprawling complex with a refining capacity of 1.24 million barrels. But it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine. The brothers were constantly bickering and they couldn't agree on how best to grow the business. The only person that could keep them from ending up in a fistfight was their father, Dhirubhai, who kept reminding them of the importance of their relationship for the future of Reliance Industries. But unbeknownst to them, their circumstances would soon dramatically change when the health of their beloved father took a nosedive. On the night of June 24, 2002, Dhirubhai was rushed to Breach Candy Hospital after suffering a major stroke that caused him to be in a coma for a week. Unfortunately, even the best doctors in the country couldn't help him, and Dhirubhai Ambani died on the 6th of July 2002. Dhirubhai never wrote a will, so the brothers were left to fight for their position within the Reliance empire. Mukesh won a small victory when he became chairman and managing director of Reliance Industries, while Anil was made vice chairman. This didn't solve anything though, and Mukesh unsuccessfully attempted to oust his brother from the board. In 2004, the rivalry went public, with Mukesh admitting in a CNBC interview,
"Well, there are issues, which are ownership issues. These are in the private domain."
Fearing that the brothers' feud would negatively impact Reliance Industries' performance, their mother, Kikola-ben Ambani, stepped in and negotiated a split of Reliance Industries. Mukesh took control of the flagship Reliance Industries with interests in petrochemicals, oil and gas exploration, refining and textiles, while Anil received the telco branch, power, entertainment and financial services. He renamed it the Anil Dhirubhai Ambani Group. Crucially, a non-compete was agreed that kept the brothers from encroaching on each other's territory. By now, the brothers were the 5th and 6th richest men on earth. They could each go out into the world and live their comfortable lives while minding their own business. This split was supposed to be the end of their feud. It was supposed to be a way for them to bury the hatchet. But that couldn't be further from the truth, and this turned out to be the most legendary rivalry in Indian business history. The same year Reliance Industries split was approved by Bombay's High Court, multiple disputes ended up in the public sphere. According to Anil, under the agreement brokered by their mother to split Reliance Industries in 2005, Anil's company was supposed to get guaranteed gas supplies from Mukesh's company for half the price that Mukesh was willing to sell it for. Mukesh disputed the claim, since conceding meant that his profit would take an annual $3 billion hit. The dispute escalated quickly, with Anil accusing the energy minister of colluding with Mukesh when he weighed in on the matter. When the High Court of Mumbai eventually settled with Mukesh's Reliance Industries,
dismissed.
Anil's companies found themselves in trouble since they needed cheap gas to operate profitably. Anil needed a lifeline, and the only person that was willing and capable of helping was his brother and longtime nemesis Mukesh. It looked like this would be a start of a warmer relationship between the longtime rivals. The only thing that Mukesh wanted was a scrapping of the non-compete clause, which initially sounded reasonable, but this ended up being the straw that broke the camel's back. As soon as the non-compete was scrapped, Mukesh Ambani started pouring billions into his new telco venture named Jio, which he wanted to shape in the biggest mobile internet provider in the country. Mukesh's plan was to invest the billions that he earned in oil and gas into his new mobile network provider that would provide 4G across the country for relatively cheap, and his competitors that provided 2G or 3G access for relatively expensive wouldn't be able to compete. Mukesh's deep pockets made it impossible to compete with Jio, causing his competitors to lose billions or completely pull out of the Indian market. This was the start of Anil Ambani's troubles. His companies were already struggling, and now his communications branch, the crown jewel of his empire, was imploding. From here on out, his companies would slowly fade into irrelevance, and one by one they would file for bankruptcy. Anil's assets melted away in front of his eyes, with his net worth crashing from 42 billion to below zero within a blink of an eye. While Anil's companies were imploding, Mukesh's empire was skyrocketing, with Jio completely dominating the mobile network landscape and his oil and gas ventures expanding rapidly. Reliance Industries' stock price just kept going up. With Mukesh's attention shifting from his brother to his businesses, he set out to embark on big ventures that would cement his place at the top of the Indian business hierarchy. He would strike a deal with Mark Zuckerberg, allowing Jio Retail to sell grocery delivery services directly within WhatsApp. This included a $6 billion investment by Meta in exchange for a 10% stake in Jio platforms. Other well-known investors like the Saudi Public Investment Fund, Mubadala, Google, Intel Capital and others also acquired stakes in Jio. In February 2024, Mukesh Ambani struck a $8.5 billion deal with Disney to set up a joint streaming service in India after Disney failed to gain a foothold in the Indian market on its own. By now, Mukesh has made it clear, if you want to venture into the Indian market, you need his blessing as the gatekeeper of the Indian economy. Only this guy has more power in the most populous country in the world. So that was it for today's video, guys. There's so much to say about Ambani, I could have made a 5-hour video about the guy. There's one more detail I would like to share before we end this video. According to Bloomberg, in 2020, while Anil was broke and mired in legal trouble, his mother asked Mukesh to help him out. Mukesh obliged, but he asked his brother to beg him for it. Keep in mind, this is his own brother that he's humiliating like that. And now imagine how ruthless he would be to his competitors that aren't his family. I would not want to be his rival. Let me wrap up this video with one question. What's the most humiliating thing you would be willing to do for $1 billion? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm sure I would be willing to do some disgusting stuff for $1 billion. So that's it for today, guys. Like the video if you enjoyed the content. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be uploading videos like these every Sunday. See you in the next one. Cheers.